This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane. This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey guys, this is Nina, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
In 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, this is Nina, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Perfect. Thank you. Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Nina!
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And where can we find you next, event-wise?
You can find me at Kitsune on July 14. You can check out my page at Nina Wrestling on Instagram to find out all the details for that show. It's going to be a banger. It's an all-women's show.
Absolutely. And where can we find merchandise as well?
Merchandise. So I have some on Brainbuster Tees, so you can just look up Nina over there or click the link on my bio on Instagram, and it should redirect you to my merch.
Perfect. And you don't even have to go looking for it. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Absolutely. And let's get into it. You work for AFA, and then recently the Kitsune as well. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
So I just moved here, and so I'm still trying to get acquainted with all the promotions here in SoCal. I had the opportunity to make a wrestling comeback, if you will, at AFA, Alliance for All Wrestling, and that was so much fun. I have a couple shows lined up after that. It just pretty much snowballed. I'll be working Crimson Crown. I worked Santino's Sisters last Wednesday. That was fun too. And I also have Kitsune. Yeah. It's gonna be my first time working for Kitsune. I know they bring in some Joshis and some just amazing talent, so I feel really grateful to be a part of that.
Absolutely. And you know, obviously that it seems like it's going to be somewhat of a major event in California. Was it kind of mean to you to be on an event, you know, that is mainly just women, exclusively women?
Oh, it's everything to me. It's very weird to be working with so many women in the same locker room. I come from the Philippines, and I used to just be the only girl at my home promotion for a little while. And so I used to just wrestle men all the time. But coming here, it's just so like saturated in the best way possible, with so many talented women. And I feel so grateful that I get to be thrown in the mix, that I was even considered for the mix. And I can't wait to be working with all these talented, beautiful female wrestlers.
Well, you mentioned it. You moved to Los Angeles a couple months ago from the Philippines.
Yeah, that's right.
What caused that big move for you?
So I have been with my husband, Koto Hiro. He's also a wrestler from here, in SoCal. I have been with him for almost 7 years, and we met in the Philippines when he went to go wrestle over there. So I was a wrestler in the Philippines, and he came to visit one day, and he trained with us and had a show with us, and that's how we met, and that's how our love story began. um, yeah, so, I stayed with him. We stayed together for 6 years, meaning I was living in the Philippines, he was living in LA, and we did long distance for that long, until, we decided to get married earlier this year.
Congratulations.
And so, thank you. So we got married this February, and so now I live here permanently.
As
Oh, go ahead.
being from the Philippines, has there been any major differences you've seen living in America compared to Philippines?
Oh, absolutely. I'm still trying to get used to living here. Because I've been with Koto for a really long time. It's actually not my first time here. Like,
Right.
I would visit the US like maybe once or twice a year prior to getting married. So I've already made my US debut like a long time ago. I believe that was 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So I've been here a couple of times. I already have like my wrestling friends. I've met a few people, and so it's not something that's like super duper new to me. However, there are like really big significant differences. Everything here is so expensive compared to the Philippines. Yeah, and it's just like very, very, very different, like culture wise, and as far as like the wrestling goes, that's also really different, because back at home, we would have a show once a month, because there aren't many promotions. There are about like one or two. Right now there's only one, actually. So I was working for that one promotion. There's nowhere else. And so if there's no show, then I don't get to wrestle. It's not like over here where it's like you get to work for a lot of different promotions like every weekend, and it wasn't like that over there. So we only had it once a month. Everything was like super pre-planned. You knew your opponent like a month in advance. You were able to write your match if you wanted to, a month in advance. So everything was very like easy. The crowd is really easy. You can just throw a clothesline and they'll just pop for it. So, and then coming over here, it's like the crowd is a little more difficult to please. You go into a different locker room every time, like, because you're getting booked in like different promotions every time. So you're always gonna show up, and there's gonna be like different people, like people that you've never met before, and all that kind of stuff. Different promoters, and like everyone has just like different styles, and everyone is just so talented. So I guess my point is with all that is that I have so much more pressure wrestling here in SoCal than I did back in the Philippines, for sure.
And I completely understand that. Like, I like to go back to the days where, a clothesline pleased people.
Mm-hmm.
But, we in California, we have the Lucha Libre were
Oh,
heavily
yeah.
inspired by it. And, it's the 450s and the 680s, and if you
For
don't have,
sure.
like, 10 of those in your matches, people aren't going to pop for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So coming here, I felt like, like crap, like I need to do more. Like I couldn't just keep it simple anymore, and I needed to kind of learn new tricks.
Oh, absolutely. Does that mean we're going to see a 450 anytime soon?
Oh, I can't make any promises.
Hey, now, before coming here, you had a pretty, big end of 2023. One of the names you wrestled was the other Nina, Nina Samules,
Yeah.
Ultimate Pro Wrestling.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Oh, it was crazy. I not that I was starstruck. Starstruck wouldn't be the right word, but I was just like I just felt so honored. Like I was like kind of almost having like imposter syndrome almost. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like what am I doing here?" Like all of a sudden I'm here in London or I'm here in the UK and I'm wrestling, Nina Samuels, and she's so great. She used to be in WWE NXT UK. And it was so crazy. I was just like the whole time I was like, what is my life right now? But no, it was really fun. She was so easy to work with, and she's great and she's so kind. And yeah, it was just an honor. It was an honor.
And I mean, like you said, it was your, I believe that was your UK debut. So,
Yeah.
having your first match against such a big name, in a new country,
Yes.
I can imagine that's a moment, right?
Oh, it's definitely a moment. It's definitely a moment that I will never forget. And I'm just so overall grateful. It was during a time when my husband and I took a trip to Europe. We were mostly in France because my family, or like at least half of my family, is from there. So while we were there, we were like, well, London is right next door, and there's so much wrestling over there. Let's just take a really quick, spontaneous trip and just try to take some bookings. And so I was kindly approached by UPW, and yeah, the rest is history. I'm so lucky that I get to check that off my list.
Now, being in the UK, being in England, what are you eating there?
Oh my goodness. I fell in love with beans on toast. I originally, like, when people were telling me about it, I was like, beans on toast? Like, that, I mean, it doesn't sound that gross, but it didn't sound appealing either. But when I had it, like, with the full, like, English breakfast, because we were kind enough I mean, my friend was kind enough to let us stay at his place. Shout out to Ash. he gave us like the whole like UK experience. Like he gave us an English breakfast, so it had eggs, beans on toast, bacon, but like their version of bacon, so it was like different. And I believe that was it. But like that whole combination was so good. And it's so good that to this day, like living in America with my husband, we went to the grocery store and bought beans, like baked beans, so we could make it here at home because we really liked it. And we also had another thing that we really enjoyed was Nando's. And I know it's like a really big thing over there. Nando's is essentially like peri peri chicken, It's like a chain restaurant that they have over there, and we also fell in love with that. So yeah, we can't wait to go back. And when we do, we're gonna eat those exact same things that I just mentioned.
Not venturing out, just you know what you like now.
Exactly.
Obviously, UK has its own wrestling scene. Was there any differences you saw, in, fans and environment in UK that compared to, Philippines or even America?
I would say that, like a US crowd versus an English crowd, they're pretty similar in the sense that I guess it depends on the setting. Like sometimes, because my husband was able to wrestle for Lucha Britannia, which was a whole different setting. Like that one was like no seats, everyone was standing, there was a bar, so people were drinking and people were really rowdy, and it was such a fun show. And I feel like here in the US, when wrestling shows are also in like a similar setting, they can also just be the same way. So I didn't really notice that much of a difference personally. But for sure, both of those compared to the Philippines is different. Like a Filipino crowd, like they love to heckle. They love to heckle. Like they're just gonna be chanting like the weirdest things. They're gonna pop for the smallest things. And they're really, really loud and rowdy like that. So definitely an easier crowd to please, and understandably so, because in the Philippines, we don't have like that many promotions and that many wrestling shows. Like the wrestling scene over there is just so new. It's still like its like infancy stage. So people are just like really happy with the simple fact that there is a wrestling promotion in the Philippines. Like people get so like hyped up like just for that. That it even exists. So whereas over here, right, like people are so spoiled, they're like 100 promotions. Yeah.
All right. Now, maybe you could fill in the context here, but could you tell us your relationship with Kid Bandit? You had some type of collaboration?
Yes. So Kid Bandit, my fellow Filipino. I guess that's really how we develop like that connection. We speak to each other in Tagalog when I see them over here. But yeah, so because that connection, they were always really kind to me. And they gave me an opportunity to wrestle at Pandemonium during a really big weekend, which was WrestleMania. Yeah, WrestleMania weekend or WrestleMania week. This was last year in 2023. And I was just so incredibly grateful for that opportunity because it was such a big show and it had such big names. And for them to even consider me was just like, I had no words. I had no words. Like I was just so grateful. But yeah, that is my connection with Kid Bandit. They also trained at Santino's,
Yes.
which is the school that I would train in whenever I would visit the US, and that's also where my husband is from. So yeah, that's our connection. Love Kid Bandit.
And shout out to Kid. It's been a while since I've talked to them.
Yes, we miss them so much.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the show where you wrestled Dark Sheik.
I did not wrestle Dark Sheik one-on-one. It was a 30-person like Rumble type of match. So there were a lot of people in that match.
But
It
I
just
mean,
so
you took
happened that I entered. Huh?
Oh, continue.
Oh, it just so happened that when my husband Koto and I entered as a tag, I just saw Dark Sheik there, and I just took the opportunity to beat her ass. So.
And I mean, obviously, Dark Sheik, you know, big name in California, respected name. But was it like, you know, scoring up against them?
Oh, easy. I love Dark Sheik. I love her. She's so she was great in there. She was easy to work with. Again, I'm gonna say this like multiple times throughout this podcast. I was really grateful. I was really grateful and honored to even share a ring with someone as talented as Dark Sheik. It's all of those things. Like I always keep them in my back pocket. Like it's always in the back of my mind. Like I'm always so grateful. Sometimes I just look back at those kinds of moments and think, wow, what is life? You know, I'm a small little girl who was born and raised in the Philippines, and I started a scene in the Philippines, which is like miles and miles and miles and miles away from over here. And to be able to share a ring with people like that, it's just, you know, it kind of, like, I try to put things into perspective. I'm just like, how did I even get here? It's crazy. You know, when I started out, I used to just dream of moments like this. I would kind of, you know, I would watch some indie wrestling here and there, apart from, you know, your WWE and stuff like that. And so crazy to think that sometimes, like, the people that I used to watch on my laptop screen are now in the same locker room as I am. And that's wild to me. Wrestling is crazy, and it brings you places, and it's so cool.
That it definitely is. And you know, you mentioned WrestleMania weekend. You were at WrestleMania 39.
I was.
Obviously, WrestleMania is the pinnacle of what all pro wrestlers aspire to be. Being at the biggest wrestling show of all time, what perspective did that give you on your own wrestling career?
Ooh, that's a very good question. It was always a childhood dream of mine to even just attend a WrestleMania. I used to watch, like, the very first WrestleMania that I've ever watched was WrestleMania 20. I think I was like around 6 years old, and pretty much, like, since then I've never looked back, and I've always been such a big WWE fan. And coming from the Philippines, you know, it's like I've lived there my whole life, and WrestleMania is always in the US, and it's like that dream, you know, of like even watching it, it's like it's just, it always seems so far away. So to be able to attend, that was my first WrestleMania ever. It was crazy. Like, I thought about the little kid in me who always dreamed of experiencing this. And so when I was there, I was just soaking it all in. As far as, you know, like, for my career, I have always wanted to be a wrestler since I was like a teenager. And you know, you're right about like having that dream, like, oh, one day I want to be on WrestleMania and stuff like that. I'll be very honest with you though. As I grew older, that like my goals in wrestling kind of shifted. Back then when I first started, I was like, you're gonna see me at WrestleMania one day. One day that's gonna be me. But nowadays, if you ask me now, my goal is just to be happy in wrestling. It's definitely something that I struggled with. So I just simply want to be happy doing it. Obviously, I still think about, like, little things like, oh, what if that was me? What if I got a tryout? What if this and that? But I used to care about that so much, but probably not as much anymore, because I'm old. I'm getting old. So yeah, my goal really is just to be happy. So career-wise, going to WrestleMania, yeah, like I was like, what if that was me? But it's also okay if it wasn't. I just went there to enjoy, like, as a fan.
I gotcha. And fun fact, WrestleMania 20 was the first WrestleMania I saw live as well.
Really? You were there live?
No, I saw it on TV. But I.
Oh, okay.
But
that's so cool.
I was at WrestleMania 39 as well.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that was so much fun.
It's crazy how many wrestlers that were actually there that I've interviewed that was there, and I had no idea. I was just soaking in the majesty of that incredible set that they had.
It was yeah, it was magic. Like, I loved it. I enjoyed every single second of it. Especially when I got to hear Eddie Guerrero's theme song play live like that. I lost it.
Now, another big name you've been in the ring with was Yappy from Ice Ribbon. What was that experience like?
Oh my goodness. So Yappy is a Joshi from Ice Ribbon, and what most people don't know is that she's actually Filipino. And so she flew to the Philippines to wrestle for our promotion, or my old home promotion. And I was her very first international opponent.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, honored. Yeah, it was such a cool experience to be able to wrestle a Joshi, and that was my first time wrestling a Joshi. And it was a very interesting experience because they do things differently over there. I feel like my style of wrestling is very Western, like your typical Western way of wrestling. And obviously hers is very like the Japanese kind of way. So even from like the way you call things to like a match structure, like it's so different. And I wanted to experience that difference. And so I for sure just like listened to her and like wanted to do what she wanted to do and see how they do things over there in Japan, just so I could have a feel for it. And it was such an interesting experience. I loved it.
Obviously a women's match, and the referee was female as well, which made it the first all-women's match in Philippine wrestling history.
I wouldn't say that it's, you know what? I have to think that one through. I'm not sure if that was the first all-women's wrestling match, including a female ref. I actually don't know, but I know it's the first one for FPW, which is my home promotion. So it was a first for that promotion. I'm not sure how it was for the other ones, but but yeah.
In the immortal words of Dusty Rhodes, don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah. I'd like to believe that was the first one, but don't quote me on it.
Now, can you tell us the advantages and disadvantages of wrestling your significant other?
I was able to work with Koto once in the Philippines, and we were actually tag partners. And that was the very first tag match I've ever had, and I'm so happy that I was able to share that moment with him, of all people. Now, that was the only time that we actually worked together, and it was really, really fun. Because I mean, Koto is just a pro. Like, you know, he's from here in SoCal. Like, he knows what he's doing, you know? So we ended up, you know, writing something that was so fun and so fire. And I really enjoyed that match. We were against the YOLO twins. Shout out to them. Who are just so fun to work with. That match was for sure like a tick off of like my bucket list or whatever. Now I've never worked with Koto. I mean, worked against him. We have during training. We beat each other up during training because we always practice moves on each other. So there's that. I don't know how it would be like to wrestle him at a show. I'm kind of curious to find out. So promoters out there, book it. But yeah, because I mean, a lot of people know that we're married, so they tend to just put us together and never against each other. But I feel like someday it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna die without it happening at least once.
Hell yeah. Let's, if there's any promoters out there, book it.
Book it. He's currently injured right now. So he suffered a broken ankle last month. So he had surgery and he'll be out for a while. But when he comes back, promoters, you know what to do.
Well, I mean, you can have the match now and take the easy W.
Just lay there. 1, 2, 3. But yeah, that would be fun, I feel. Either we could have so much fun with it and we'd have like really good chemistry, or I would be like super annoyed with him. It could end up either way.
No, you was featured in PWI. You know, when it comes to pro wrestling, you know, magazines, it doesn't get bigger than that. You were a part of the female breakout star of 2021.
I would just like to correct. It's actually not PWI. Oh my gosh, I wish it was PWI. Could you imagine? It's spiteful. So a great friend, Taylor Hendricks, who used to work for TNA.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not TNA. Yes, TNA.
Yeah,
and Ring of Honor. Yeah.
TNA Ring of Honor.
Yeah, so she was so kind enough to write that article about me and include me in that article. This was in 2021. This was like still like at the pandemic, and there wasn't much wrestling going on for me personally. But the last match, or one of the last matches that I ever wrestled before the pandemic hit, was actually Taylor. And so grateful for all the kind words that she told me afterwards. And then she came out with that article for Fightful. I think it was the first ever issue of the Fightful magazine, so I'm super honored about it, honestly. Like that was crazy to see myself along with like the Pink Dream, Alex Gracia, and Queen Aminata, who are both of them just doing such great big things. So I felt so grateful to be part of that mix.
And I apologize for thinking it was PWI.
Oh, no worries. I wish. Could you imagine?
You know, there's a couple lists coming up sooner rather than later, and, you know, we'll see.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
I gotta work harder, for sure.
Now you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but you had an encounter with Desi Dorada.
Yes, Desi. So she came with her, I'm sorry, I'm blanking out on names. Jeff Cobb.
Okay.
So her and Jeff Cobb flew to the Philippines. I believe that was 2019, because we had a really, really, really big event. It was like the biggest wrestling event that we'd ever pulled off, ever at that time. Actually, to this day, and had like TJP. So basically, we tried to pull in all like Filipino wrestlers that have made it abroad. So guys like TJP, Jeff Cobb, and then Jeff brought Desi. And so yeah, I was able to meet all of them and interact with them, and yeah, she's so sweet.
All right. Now, can you tell us about that time you were on Being the Elite?
Oh my gosh. That was like the quickest cameo ever. I remember being at a Santino's show to help out. So I was doing camera work, I believe. I was taking pictures. And so the show ended and I went backstage, and there weren't many people inside the locker room, but there was Ray Rosas and Peter Avalon, PP Ray. And I was there trying to look for a snack because I heard there was pizza backstage. I was trying to get some for myself, you know, and all of a sudden they approached me and they're like, hey, could you be in our video real quick? And they didn't tell me what it was for or anything. They just like told me to like, you know, walk for like 2 seconds. That was really it. And I find out later that it was actually for VTE. So that was crazy. But it was fun.
When do you find out that you're on Being the Elite? Like, do they tell you, or do you just like you're scrolling, or like what happens there?
It happened a while back, so I can't remember exactly how I found out. But I think afterwards, when they still kept filming and I was like trying to look at the context even more, I started to realize, oh, I think this is for BTE. And then when the episode came out, or like a new episode came out on YouTube, and I just like skimmed through it and I saw myself and I was like, oh yeah, it was for BTE.
Well, I mean, any encounter with Peter Avalon is an interesting encounter, which brings us to our next segment, and that is Nina's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
A road story. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't have many because, in the Philippines, we don't travel out to wrestle. Like, we don't travel to like different states or anything. It's just like in one area.
Right.
But I have done some crazy trips like for wrestling. One of the craziest ones I could probably tell you was actually my US debut. That was my first match ever. Actually, I did 2 matches. I did one with Grace Lee and then another with Taylor Hendricks on the same night. This was for Lucha Patron up in Petaluma. So this was in NorCal.
Okay.
So from LA to NorCal, we drove 6 to 8 hours or something ridiculous like that. And so, my then boyfriend was really happy for me because it's my US debut. I was the first one from my country to ever go to the US and wrestle. So it was like such a big achievement for me, and I did it. And then Koto got a concussion during his match. He had a pretty bad one. It was pretty bad. So he couldn't drive, and he was. I'm so sorry to my husband, who's probably gonna listen to this. He was puking all over the place, and it was so stressful because I had to take care of him, and he was puking all over the car, and then we had to be like that for like 8 hours going back home.
Oh, wow.
And we were driving with someone else, and thank God there was someone else with us to go there and to go back, because I don't drive. So if it was just Koto and I, then we would have had no choice but to stay the night and figure it out. But we were able to drive home. So the show probably ended at like 10, and then we left at like 11 at night. And then all like the wee hours of the morning, we were just like driving to LA. And the car, I mean, I get it. Like, everyone's like really, really tired and sleepy. And we got pulled over.
Oh my God.
We got pulled over for going a bit more over the speed limit. I will not name any names. I love them so much. This is the person who was with us. But, we did get pulled over, and that was my first ever encounter with cops like here in America. So that was so scary for me. So what ended up what was supposedly like one of the best nights ever, or what should have been like a really, really good night, ended up being one of the worst. And then going back home, I was saying like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to do a road trip like that again. Like, it's so stressful, and like when people are hurt, and it's I mean, the drive just on its own, like 8 hours in a car, it's already so bad. I cannot sit in a car like for that long. But on top of like taking care of my puking husband and getting pulled over, that was for sure one of the worst road trips that I've ever had.
Okay, definitely a bizarre adventure to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you took an L to TJ Perkins, not in the ring, but at Mario Kart.
I did. You know what? I can't even remember if I won or not, or probably it was a tie. I think it was a tie. I'm pretty good at Mario Kart, but yeah, it was around that time that they all flew to the Philippines for our show, and afterwards we had a really big like party, like a little celebration amongst us wrestlers. And TJP was there, and another friend brought his Nintendo Switch, and we were like, all right, like let's play Mario Kart, because that's what introverts do at parties. We play Mario Kart. So we did just that, and I don't remember losing. I don't know about. He'll probably have a different version of the story, but I don't remember losing.
Okay, so maybe there is a rematch in the works.
You know what? Yeah. TJP, if you're listening, one day I'll challenge you again at Mario Kart.
Alright. Now, can you tell us about being a stan for Roronoa Zoro?
Oh my goodness. You really dove deep. Oh my goodness. So my husband is a huge One Piece fan. He knows everything about it. He's watched like pretty much every single episode, and he still follows it to this day. He's been following it since he was a kid. So that's his favorite anime. And I never, because I'm not like a really big anime fan. I actually don't watch it at all. So I didn't get it. Like I didn't, and I wasn't gonna be watching like 1,000+ episodes to keep up with it, right? So they came out with a live action on Netflix not too long ago, and my husband was like, "Hey, would you give this one a chance? And let's watch it together." And I'm like, okay, fine, for you. And I was like, ugh, like an anime adaptation, or like, I mean, they never really end up.
No.
Yeah, they never really end up good, right? So obviously my my expectations were pretty low. Until we watched it together, and I was so hooked. I was so hooked. It's one of my favorite shows ever. I just loved everything about it, and like it has brought me to tears several times. And as soon as I saw the character Roronoa Zoro pop up on my screen, I just turned red. I was like, this is one of the most badass characters I have ever seen in my life, and one of the most handsome actors I've ever seen. And people were making fun of me for it so much, because all my friends were telling me that Zoro, or Makenyu, the actor who plays Zoro, looks just like my husband, Koto. And they were like, they look the same. You have a type. And I was like, no, type. But I'm obsessed with him. I'm obsessed. But I love his character so much. He's such a badass, and like on the show, like in the story, and just like the way he carries himself and stuff like that. So I'm a stan. And I usually don't stand for celebrities or anything, but that was the very first time like I stan. Like I bought like photo cards. I stuck them up on like my little wall thing, like on my desk at the office in my previous job. Like it was a whole thing. I was obsessed.
So did it inspire you to watch the anime, or still not going to touch that? It did.
Just because like when I finished the live action, I wanted more. I was so disappointed that that it ended, and I wanted to know more about the story. So I did give the anime a shot. And I think I was like 8 episodes in, and compared to the live action, like 8 episodes in the anime is like 2 episodes in in the live action. So I personally, and One Piece fans do not come for me, but I was watching it and I felt like it was a little dragging. And realistically, I then realized, like, I'm not gonna. Am I really gonna finish like 1,000+ episodes? Like, I don't think I can do it. So, also, I also thought about how maybe if I continued the anime, then I would get spoiled for the live action. So I didn't want to get spoiled for the live action because that's the one I really enjoyed. Like I said a while ago, I was like in tears like multiple times. But like my husband, obviously he knows like the story, like he knows what happens. So when I was like, can I spoil it? Can I spoil a part here in the podcast?
Yeah, of course.
So when when Mihawk defeated Zoro, I cried my eyes out. I cried. I don't think I've ever cried that much in a show before. And my husband was dying laughing so hard. He's like, it's okay, like he didn't die. Like, he'll be okay, trust me, because like he knows the story. I was like, no. But yeah. I love Zoro. I also was thinking that maybe for Halloween this year, I could probably design a Zoro-inspired wrestling gear. I can't make any promises, but I've definitely been thinking about it.
All right. You know, it's crazy because, you know, the 8 episodes that you watch in the live action, that is 60 episodes of the anime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
pretty much.
That's 30 hours of content filled into only 8 hours.
Yeah. Which I loved. Like I loved the way that they were able to cut it and condense it. I feel like it was so much more easier to digest that way. So I recommend everyone to watch One Piece live action on Netflix because I love that show.
Well, what I would tell somebody that isn't a One Piece fan, of the anime at least, is you kind of have to get at least 100 episodes in. Once you get to the 100 episode mark, it actually becomes a lot easier to watch. And I was told this, I did not believe it until I actually came to this point. It's only that so many episodes until there's not enough episodes.
Yeah, I see. Well, 100 episodes is a lot. I don't know if I have the time for that right now. But yeah, my husband still watches it every week. Yeah, so he's updated. I'm not. I'm just waiting for season 2.
Obviously, I will not tell you spoilers when it comes to Zoro, because I know what happens there.
No. I also tell my husband, like, don't tell me.
Alright, can you tell us about your love of Animal Crossings?
I love Animal Crossing so much. It's my favorite game in the whole world. I grew up with it. I grew up with a cute little pink Nintendo DS Lite. And my very first game was Animal Crossing. And I have been obsessed with it ever since. I feel like without Animal Crossing, like I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Wow.
It shaped me as a human being. No, it's just fun. It's so cute. It the villagers can be so sassy, and it's just so funny. And it just got better and better, like the last one that they came out with, which is New Horizons. It changed my life. Like during the pandemic, we had nothing else to do. Animal Crossing just was what kept me sane the whole time. You can build stuff in there. It's so cute. It's such a cute game.
Do you have the wrestling memorabilia?
Do I have any?
In the game, there's like a ring and some lucha masses.
Oh, yes. I was able to build like a little wrestling area through the game. So they just have something for everyone. That's why I love it. They had like all these items that you could use to build or like basically put together a wrestling ring. And then there were like these steel chairs and everything. So it was like perfect to kind of recreate like a cute little wrestling venue. So I made one because obviously I couldn't just not make one as a pro wrestler. My island needed it.
Right.
So yeah, I created a cute little area. I know Koto, my husband, went ham on it, and he really like his has like a hard cam, like the lights, a commentary table, like it's a whole thing. Like his is way cuter than mine. But yeah.
What is the name of your island?
Sun Valley. I haven't played it in a while, but my island name is Sun Valley because I just wanted something really cute.
And what is the native fruit of Sun Valley?
The fruit, my main fruit is, oh my god, it's been so long. I think my main fruit is cherry. Although I wanted peach. I always like peach. But that's the fruit that I started with, I think. Cherry.
What's your star rating for your island?
What's my what? Sorry?
The star rating.
Star rating. I think the best one that you can have. I was able to reach that at some point for sure, like during the pandemic. But like I said, I haven't played it in a while, and I remember like where I left off. I actually pretty much destroyed half my island because I wanted to restart. And so when I restarted, I didn't get to finish it like to this day. So it's still unfinished. So if you ask me now, the star rating would probably be low. But because I was able to reach the highest rating, and then like throughout the pandemic, I'm like, I'm bored of my island. I want to like create more. I don't want to be done with it. Like I want to get more creative with it. So destroyed half my island. And eventually when the world started opening and things started picking up, I didn't have that much time for the game anymore, unfortunately, so I never got to finish it. But yeah, hopefully I can pick it up at some point. My villagers are gonna be so angry. Be like, where you been?
That being said, who is the most annoying villager?
The most annoying villager? I've kicked out so many villagers before because I just didn't think they were cute enough to be on my island. I'm that shallow. I don't really find any of them annoying, but like sometimes the jock ones kind of get in my nerves.
Okay.
It's like, why are you like that? Like But no, all the villagers on my island are like carefully handpicked. Like I was so obsessed with Animal Crossing that I would like go to, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's like the Animal Crossing like black market online, which is Nikazan. They call it Nikazan. And I was able to like exchange like you can do all sorts of things. Like you can exchange like items, you can exchange villagers, and so that's what I did. I was able to like choose the villagers that I wanted for my island, so they're all perfect in my eyes.
Because you deemed them necessary.
Yes, like some of them were like villagers that I grew up with, like on my Nintendo DS. So I was like, oh, like this just brings back like childhood memories. So I needed to have them, and then the rest are just like because they're just so cute.
All right. Now, can you tell us, is there any significant meaning to your tattoos?
Yeah. I have, man, I lost count at this point. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tattoos. So my very first one is on my wrist. So it's actually a pink spider. That is the exact logo of AJ Lee. And yeah, I got it when I was 19. And around that time, I was like a really, 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 really big wrestling fan. And I knew it was definitely something that I wanted to explore. But my idol has always been AJ Lee. So she's definitely, yeah, like if you ask me who my favorite wrestler is, like of all time, I'd tell you it's AJ. She definitely inspired me to like get the courage to like actually pursue wrestling, just because when I was watching her, I was like, oh, she's like a little nerdy, kind of like how I was at that age. And she's small, I'm small. And so I was like, oh, you know what? Like, if she can do it, then I can do it. And so that was my very first tattoo. And yeah, that's what it means to me. I have other tattoos that mean a lot to me. I don't know if like we're recording with video, but I do have one. People will notice one in my inner arm that says "Ride Till Death." It's actually a matching one with Koto, my husband. Yeah, self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But a fun fact, not only is Koto a super talented wrestler, but he is also a tattoo artist, or at least he used to be. So half of the tattoos that I have are actually from him.
Really?
And I get it for free. So it's a perk. Yeah, so he's done some of my tattoos that I have on my ankle and one on my rib. So yeah, the one on my ankle, it's like a little heart with a banner. Like, you know, like those typical like like traditional like flash tattoos, and it has a banner and it says myself. Just a reminder to just keep choosing myself and to love myself and put myself first. So there's that. I also have another one on my ankle. It's Japanese characters, and it says basically my husband's name, which I will not say out loud. But yeah. Yeah, those are my tattoos. I have one across my ribs. That's probably my favorite tattoo that I have. It's a death bat. So it's the logo of my favorite band ever growing up, the band's called Avenged Sevenfold. So I'd have their logo tattooed across my ribs. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. And is there any plans for new ink in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I have like 2 tattoos in my inner arm. And the reason why they're in my inner arm is because I tried really hard to hide it from my mom. Because she would kill me if she saw. So I think I'd like to believe I did a pretty good job of hiding it, but now that I don't live with her anymore and I am on my own, I definitely plan on finishing the half sleeve that I always wanted. I don't know if I'm gonna get it anytime soon because tattoos are pretty expensive, and I don't have the time for it because it's hard. Like when you get a tattoo, you can't train, you can't wrestle and stuff like that for a little bit because you gotta let it heal. So I don't know, but it definitely like eventually down the line for sure.
Okay. I think that's a great segue into the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
That's such a hard question. Oh, first 3 songs. Since I mentioned Avenged Sevenfold, one of them has to be Brompton Cocktail.
Okay.
And for 2 other songs, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll just like give you songs because like with my music taste, it's like it's pretty much all over the place. I like it really depends on my mood and what vibe I'm feeling. So 1 second I could be listening to metal, and the other second I could be listening to like mainstream pop. It really depends on my mood. But I don't know. Off the top of my head, the second song would be like for a change. It would be Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande.
Okay.
And then the third one, dang, I've never been asked this question before. Maybe Pyro by Kings of Leon. This is one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you lock it in?
I'm locking it in.
Okay, we are locked in.
Final answer.
Now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays Nina? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Can I pick AJ Lee?
Oh yeah, of course you can.
She acts like she did some stuff on Heels, that TV show. So you know what? I'm gonna consider her an actress. I pick AJ.
There you go. Now that we have you casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Okay, I think the one playing my husband would be an easy choice. That would be McKenyu. McKenyu for sure. And then 2 others that play a big role. I can't even like decide. Like that's a like who is playing like a big role in my life, because honestly It's really just me and my husband right now. Let's see. Oh gosh. Oh, I don't know. I can't even pick like two people in my life who I would like consider like, Can I just leave it at that? Like
Yes,
my husband would 100% be played by my. Can you? Because they look.
Yes.
I mean, I can't really. For the fans out there who only know Koto in a mask, obviously he doesn't show his face. But if you kind of want a little idea, he looks like McKinyu. That's what I'm gonna say.
So you're telling us he doesn't wear the mask around the house.
He doesn't wear the mask around the house, as contrary to popular belief. He takes a shower without it for sure. But yeah.
Well, it's definitely sounding like a great movie, and you could pre-order the tickets now.
Yeah, I would love to maybe one day. I mean, I would have to be eventually famous to do something like this, but if ever the opportunity ever arises, like one thing that I've always wanted to do is to write a book, like an autobiography, just because I've been through so much. And I'm a writer, like for my day job, so if I could put two and two together and write my own book one day, that would be amazing. This is why I can relate to AJ so much, because she loves doing that as well, and so do I. So I love her.
Hell yeah. Now onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stand?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's where I put my foot down. I am part French. And my, like, when you go to France, it's like right next to Italy, so you are exposed to like pretty much like authentic Italian pizza, right? And my dad too was a chef, and he would make fresh pizzas, like brick oven, like all that kind of style. So to me, like a pizza with too many toppings, like I hate it. Like I know a lot of people love like all these different toppings, like all this meat, all this pineapple, bell peppers, anchovies. Like I don't want any of it. Like I will only eat a pizza if it's like just cheese, or like a margarita for being fancy, or pepperoni. I love pepperoni. But other than that, especially if you're like putting a fruit, any kind of fruit on my pizza, no thank you.
So not just anti-pineapple on pizza, pretty much anti toppings at all.
Pretty much. Like it's just not my favorite. Like if someone were to order a pizza and had like all this stuff, like sausage and stuff, I mean, I would just like take it out. Honestly, I would still eat it, but I wouldn't like enjoy it as much.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Ooh, it's either Psyduck or Snorlax. Because I take naps all day, every day. If I am unreachable, it's like 99% sure that I am taking a nap. And Psyduck is my favorite Pokemon. I think you can see him in the background. I have a Psyduck plushie. But Psyduck is for sure relatable. Like he just quacks and he just gets all stressed all the time, and that is me. That is me. Anxious and stressed all the time. For sure.
Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
The acronym?
Yes, for Doug. THUG.
No, I don't.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. 'Cause a Doug can't spell.
I've never heard of that one before.
Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show, trying to keep the memory alive.
Okay.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical rock.
No. A rock is very solid. If that thing just, like, if you throw that in my face, like, I could get hurt. So why would I do that? I don't know how. I just can't even picture it. I can't even picture it. And if I take a bump on it and I land on the rock, if I give it like a little elbow, like an elbow drop, that's gonna hurt me. So no.
Well, just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Wow. Good for him, because I could never. I gotta look that up on YouTube.
I can send it to you.
Okay, perfect. I'm very curious to see.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oof. In 5 years, wrestling wise or just life in general?
However you want to answer it.
Wrestling wise, I don't have a specific goal. Like, there isn't like a specific destination that I want to be in. Like I mentioned a while ago, I just want to be happy doing it, and I will just want to keep getting better. So that is like my only wish, that in 5 years, that if I watch my wrestling, if I watch my wrestling in 5 years and compare it to how I wrestle today, I could just only hope that I have improved significantly. I just want to keep improving, getting better and better. As for like life in general, I really don't know. I would like to think that I'd have like a good job by then. My husband and I could like have a really cute apartment together. I don't know if kids is probably something that's gonna happen in the next 5 years. Maybe like 5 years minimum, not like within the 5 years. But yeah, like I said, I'm getting old and the clock is ticking. And my husband and I do want to have kids someday. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. 5 years is a long time. A lot can happen by then.
And you forgot to mention Caught Up with One Piece.
Yes. Well, they are filming season 2 now. They officially announced that one.
I meant the anime.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, like I said, I stopped at episode 8 and I was like, it's so dragging. It's so dragging. I don't think I can do it. But then One Piece probably should be done by then. So that'll be interesting for you One Piece fans.
It very well may be. or will get caught off guard and he'll add an extra 5 years onto it.
Oh, we'll see.
What is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about as a pro wrestler?
One thing that I would always suggest is Nina versus Delilah Doom at Islos Lucha. It's on YouTube, but not as like an individual match. It's part of like the full show. The full show was called, oh boy, I gotta remember this one. I think Islos Mania, I think is what it was called, because it was like during WrestleMania week. I had so much fun with Delilah on that one. Another would be Nina and Koto Hiro versus the YOLO twins at FPWS Stig. I believe it's like the second episode. You can search that one on YouTube. That one was so much fun, and the way we built like the story of that match was just, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. So if people were to ask me, I would give out those two.
Okay, and if they are indeed on YouTube, I will find them and I will put a link to them in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox.
Awesome! Yay!
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Oh, okay. I guess so.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
AJ Lee. Oh, wait, no, Eddie Guerrero. Sorry, Eddie Guerrero. Hello.
Worst wrestler.
Ooh. I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
So you are taking the default answer.
I'm taking the safe answer. I mean, everyone who makes it to TV, you're good one way or another. So I can't like pick one.
Well, the default answer is you have chosen Eva Marie.
Oh. Okay, you know what? Let's go with that one.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Rhea Ripley.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Ooh, I really enjoyed Paige's entrance song. It's a little similar to mine, actually. Or Saraya, but Paige when she was in WWE.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Kayfabe is telling a story. It's storytelling.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Has other people given that exact answer before?
Some people have, but they've seen the show before, so they knew they were prompted.
That's the first time I've ever heard of it, but yeah.
Squash, vegetable or fruit?
Vegetable.
It is indeed a fruit.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yes.
Man.
It has seeds, so tomato logic.
Oh, okay. Dang. In my brain, it's I categorize it as a vegetable.
Well, you're
I
part.
love squash, by the way.
Well, you're part of Squash Squad now, so that means a hell of a lot more. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question: what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
A lot of my bestest friends in wrestling wear trunks, and I know a lot of them, or I know some of them want to be like very revealing about it. Honestly, to me, there's no like perfect ratio. It's whatever that wrestler is comfortable with showing, then I'm all for it. Like if they want to show way more ass, go for it. Like no, I wouldn't stop them.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, that has not happened to me.
And that's the
Ever.
correct answer.
I was being tested.
And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Me as well. And once again, where can we find all things Nina on social media?
So my handle on X and on Instagram is at Nina Wrestling. So it's very simple. Although I do use my Instagram more than X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. So you can find me there. Facebook, if anyone still even uses Facebook, you can find me at Nina Pro Wrestler. You can just search for that page and you will find me.
And merchandise?
Merch, just search up Nina on Brainbuster Tees.
Okay. And you don't even have to type it into your Google machines. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
Yes, please. I designed them myself, so yeah, would be great. Would help me out a lot.
Hell yeah. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest Nina, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.